Welcome back. So, today we're going to take a trip back in time. Today we're going to go back to 1996, June 6th, 1996, to Rowlett, Texas. Today we're going to take a look at the tragic events that happened that night by the hand of no one other than Darlie Routier. Darlie Routier. Well, who is she? She is, and still is, a white female. Um, on this night, she made a frantic phone call to the 911 dispatcher in the Rowlett Sheriff's Department's 911 dispatch center, and said that an intruder originally, this is her story, and I quote here, let's begin this. She said an intruder who was between the height of 5'6" and 5'10", white, stocky build, had broken into her home, had entered her home through the garage door, and had stabbed both of her sons and herself with a knife, a large butcher knife, and that he had fled shortly after she tried to fend him off. And so police were dispatched right away to the home along with paramedics. They rushed to the home. They were at the home within 4.5 minutes. From the time of the 911 call, it was started, the clock ticking. 4.5 minutes later, the first officer arrived on scene. He did not make entry into the home. He waited for backup because the 911 operator did not know if the assailant was still on the property. Another 1.5 minutes later, another backup officer came, and then the two of them entered the home, where they found the front door slightly ajar. They, with weapons drawn, entered the home, and they heard no one at all, no noise. And as they entered into the foyer area, they could see the children directly in front of them, down, and blood in the hallway that led to the laundry room area and to the garage. A lot of blood actually on the floor, and then on the louvers of the doors that went over the laundry, and on the counter in the kitchen, and around the sink. And that's where they saw little Darlie Routier laying on the floor in a kneeling position, nowhere near her children. She's in the kitchen, like entryway that leads into the living room area. It's a wide open floor plan area. All right, so the police rush over to check on the children, and it's obvious at that point when they got there that Davion, the little Davion, was already deceased. His brother Damon was alive but barely hanging on. Damon had blunt force trauma to the side of his head, several stab wounds, and had lost a lot of blood. He was unconscious at that point. They applied compression and an IV and loaded him on a gurney and got him the heck out of there. Unfortunately, Damien died en route to the hospital to receive medical attention. When Darlie was in what looked like a state of shock at that time, the officers and paramedics were able to get her onto a gurney and rush her to the hospital as well in a second ambulance, because she had a cut wound to the side of her neck. She had a cut wound to her forearm, and she had bruising to the backs of her hands and forearms. And this all, on the surface, may have been caused from putting up a fight with an intruder, but certain things within the home didn't match up to what they normally would see. And the cops, police officers who showed up and were there, along with the detectives, noticed three things were out of place immediately in the living room. One, a large painting and picture had been moved from the wall and had been set down behind a couch, where it would normally, in that area where the attack had happened, it would have definitely gotten blood splatter on it. The second thing was a recliner, which was a lighter color tan. I think it said tan in coffee color, but I'm not sure about the coffee color, or what either one of those really are. But they said that recliner had been moved not only to the right, but it also had been moved back about 3 feet. And the imprints in the carpet were there from where it originally sat. And it definitely would have gotten blood splatter on it from both of the boys if it had been sitting currently where it originally was. So it looked like the crime scene had been staged, or if at the very least someone had gone through and meticulously moved things out of the way, so they wouldn't get blood splatter on them before this violent act had taken place. So the next thing that the police started doing was they started canvassing the area, looking for and they put out a bolo for a white male between the height of 5'6" and 6 foot height, and looking at white, stocky build, white T-shirt, possible blood, on him, So police all over, the area started looking for this individual. They also started canvassing around the home, and they photographed several different things of interest at the home. One was a canister that had been placed underneath the window outside of the garage. Now, a back door to the home was, the lock worked, but it wasn't exactly the best door or defense, and it had no deadbolt, and it could have easily been jimmied open. But this garage door had a can underneath the window, and the screen appeared to be slashed. But the interesting thing about the screen on a window is, imagine this is a screen going up and down, vertically here. When you stab it or poke a hole in it, the screen itself, if you look at it really closely, curves inward from away from the direction of something that penetrates it. So if you poke it with a stick, it'll curl inward. It won't curl outward, even if you pull the stick out. If you slash it with a knife, it curves inwardly. Well, this screen defied all logic. It was still attached to the home, and it was curled from the inside out. So they knew immediately that the screen wasn't slashed from the outside from an intruder trying to get in, but someone had made it look like that by placing the can underneath the window. They also noted and photographed that there were several items on the inside on a ledge next to the window that would have easily been knocked over by someone gaining entry through the window into the home, garage and into the home. So they knew that nobody crawled in through this window with a slashed screen to get into the home.